My cousin nearly drove me to K** lines myself and he didn't care. This happened years ago and I'm in a much better place now and I will be talking about unaliving myself, so please seek help if you're having dark thoughts. Years ago, when I didn't have steady work, I decided to move for hours away and work and live with my aunt and work at her mom and pop restaurant that she owned. It was a small place with about 10 tables. It was often very busy and I often worked 10 to 13-hour days with little to no break. As a Army veteran, I was trained to be unselfish and that mission always came first. So I treated the restaurant like my unit and pushed myself hard every day for my aunt's place. Unfortunately, unlike the Army, some co-workers didn't rally behind me. In fact, they sought to take advantage of my willingness to work hard. My cousin aunt's son also worked there as a server like me. I worked on a consistent schedule and only took Fridays off. My cousin, on the other hand, was a bit more free-form and would come into work and take days off at random, with little to no warning. He'd often show up hours late and leave early. The only exception to this was Fridays, when he knew I wasn't scheduled to come in. It would be Fridays that he'd actually show up on time and stay until closing because he didn't want to be hounded by his mom. Of course, he'd do whatever he wanted whenever I was at work cause his mom wouldn't hound him. Why? Cause I was busting my ass doing the jobs of 2 to 3 people at times. This went on for several years and I started to grow tired of my cousin's constant random work shifts. My cousin is a closeted shopaholic and loves to go shopping. Obviously, for the many years I was working at the restaurant, this meant he couldn't go out on Black Friday since I was always scheduled off. However, during one particularly busy Thanksgiving weekend, my aunt asked me if I would forego my one day off and come in on Friday as we were already short-staffed. Remembering how busy Thursday was with it just being me, I decided to do the unselfish thing and agree to come in on a Friday. We already had a stacked schedule for Friday with tons of catering orders and a full dining room, so I wanted to be a team player. Friday morning rolls around and I head into work. My cousin isn't there yet, but about 30 minutes in, I see him pull into the parking lot in his car. As I'm taking the order from a nearby table, I see him walk towards the restaurant, open the door, spots me, stops dead in his tracks, turns around and walks away. I catch this all as I'm taking the table's order. I figured he forgot something out of his car, but a moment later, I see the car leave. Again, I figured he forgot something or wants to get a coffee first. Well, an hour later and he doesn't come back, and by then the restaurant is at full capacity. I'm frantically running around taking orders, bussing tables, answering phones, running the register, cleaning spills, and preparing drinks, all while wondering where he ran off to. 5 hours into my shift and I assume he's not coming back. I'm wondering if he suddenly got ill. We close at 9 p.m. and I'm a total wreck, completely exhausted and sitting down to my first real break of the day. As I'm mopping the floor, who comes in now but my cousin? He brings in tons of bags from different stores and starts bringing out all the crap he bought while out Black Friday shopping. Man, there were so many great sales today, he says as he pulls out a random shirt from H&M. His mom comes out and I think expected her to give him a tongue lashing for not showing up on such a busy day. But instead she starts going through the bags of merchandise and starts to comment on the items, completely ignoring the fact that he gave himself the day off and left me to fend of a hellish Friday alone. I felt so dejected. I didn't take a day off because I was asked to come in to help the very same cousin who was scheduled to work alone, but instead he saw me at work unexpectedly and decided to take advantage and take the day off. Of course, his mom didn't complain cause I busted my ass and didn't take a piss all day to cover his lazy ass. I felt angry, but I also felt sad. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like I was only on this earth to make life easier for other people. I felt like I didn't matter. I had no friends in the area. I was a server, someone that people saw when they were hungry. To some, I wasn't even human. I was a servant. I was scum. I hated this situation and I had enough. I wanted to show my cousin and aunt exactly how they drove me to this with their selfish behavior. So I sent a mass text to 3 friends telling them I was going to K**lines myself. I looked for some bleach in the janitor's closet and thought it might be painless if I mixed it with lemonade. I was in tears at home, staring at the bottle of bleach and gallon of lemonade I was planning to mix it with. That's when my friend Dina called me. She spent the next 2 hours talking to me and she eventually convinced me to not K*lines myself. Dina also lived about an hour away and said she would personally drive there that night to make sure I didn't do anything crazy. To this day, I'm thankful for her for saving me that night. For the next several months, I started to take better care of myself. I asked for a second day off on my schedule, which my cousin naturally hated. He started to complain that I was getting lazy, but I also was secretly planning to quit and move back home closer to my mom and sister. One day, I told both my aunt and cousin that I was moving back home, but I'd stay on for 2 more months so I can help train a replacement. My cousin, being more pissed that his ticket to an easy job was leaving, told me, why fucking wait 2 months? If you don't want to be here, then leave. We don't need your ass, so get the fuck out. With that, I packed my bags and moved back home. At first, my aunt thought this was just temporary and I was just blowing off some steam. She said I can return to work whenever I'm ready, but I took a chance and applied for an engineering job, which was my major in college. I got hired and I've been happily working as an engineer now for years. I'm making far more than I ever did at my aunt's restaurant and I have way more time off. My cousin had the "you'll come crawling back" attitude, but the restaurant actually closed 2 years ago. My aunt said it was cause she wanted to retire, but several regular customers whom I kept in touch with say it was more likely due to business going down after I left, as once word got out how poorly they treated me. Most people didn't want to give them their business. So here I am today. I haven't spoken with my cousin since he told me to leave and I don't know what he does now, but I do know that night he ditched work to go Black Friday shopping. Was a dark time for me, but I'm glad I managed to turn it into a positive. If this has taught me anything, it's that no amount of money is worth your mental health. Yes, in the army, we were asked to do some crazy things, but the army was a team and I shouldn't expect civilians to have the same mindset as me. Do you love to hear some thoughts and comments about my story? And again, if anyone is ever having thoughts of unaliving themselves, then to please seek help. I'm pretty sure at least one person out there cares.